Okay, now it's my pleasure. We're about to start session C, which is going to be on crossover technologies. And it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Philippe, Julien, Director of Total Research Center here in Qatar, to open the session for us and set the scene. Thank you, Dr. Julien. Please.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everybody. So I am very pleased to give this opening comment to this crossover technologies session. And indeed, finding and producing the future barrels in our oil and gas industry will require to tackle complex issues, technological issues, environmental issues. And clearly, because the future barrels that we will have to find and to produce will be complex barrels, we need new technologies. So one way to find new technologies is to look at other scientific and technological domains, because the innovation often comes from interfaces between different domains. And indeed, already, some technological revolutions outside the oil and gas industry changed our industry. For instance, high-performance computing using highly parallel machines, which changed our seismic imaging. And so now we have to identify these crossover technologies. So it means that we have to identify the needs for our oil and gas industry, our needs, our key priorities, where we have technological barriers. And we must analyze and identify the missing technology bridges that we need in the other domains. So in this introduction, I will just mention 4 domains where we could find some innovations for our industry. Of course, this list is not limitative. The list could be very long, but I will just mention as an example 4 domains. The first one is the space domain. Currently, on the Mars planet, there is a Curiosity vessel which contains some miniaturized equipments to measure the fluids that you have on the Mars planet. Normally, when you use a gas chromatograph, the volume of a gas chromatograph is about 1 cubic meter. On the Mars planet, you have a gas chromatograph. This is exactly the one that is on the Mars planet currently. You have a gas chromatograph of this size. So in the space industry, they have to miniaturize the equipments, working on nanotechnologies, and we already, in the oil and gas industry, we already work on nanotechnologies. We use nanosensors, we use nanotracers in reservoirs, and perhaps in the future we will have nanocoatings for pipes, for instance. So it's really important because in our oil and gas industry, we want to have measurements online, on-site, inside the wells, where the conditions are very extreme. And so the experience that we can gain from the space industry and the space exploration may be valuable for the oil and gas industry. The second domain that I would like to mention is the medical imaging. A few decades ago, there were some scanners, and then MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, NMR, were developed in the medical domain. And now these medical images are currently used and conventionally used in the medical domain. And now we see that we start in the oil and gas industry using such imaging technologies for characterizing our reservoirs. And it can be very useful, for instance, to characterize and to understand the carbonate reservoirs. This is the starting digital rock physics. The third domain that I would like to mention is robotics. Robotics is already used, for instance, drones to check the integrity of surface installations, or remotely operated vehicles to check the integrity of underwater, deep offshore, subsea installations. And perhaps in the future, we will have autonomous robots to check the integrity of our installations. Of course, it's extremely important for HSE matters because it will avoid people to go in these difficult environments. We could send instead new robots. The last point that I would like to mention is biotechnologies. Biotechnologies could be relevant for soil remediation, processing of water, for instance, and there are some advanced studies. For instance, in the University of Oklahoma, there was a systematic biotyping of produced water all along the life of the fields using genomic sequencing technologies. So if you look at the genomic sequences of the bacteria that are present in the produced water, and if you correlate that with corrosion, it may be very useful to better understand the corrosion and to better monitor the corrosion that we may have in our installations. I will stop here this list. These were just 4 examples: space exploration using nanotechnologies, medical imaging, robotics, biotechnologies. It means that we have to work with new partners. So we have to share the risk of working with new partners. We are not used to work with them. And it means as well that we have to understand their expectations. But we really think that this is for a win-win approach where these other technologies coming from other domains will be very beneficial for the oil and gas industry. Thank you very much.